Chapter 7 Revelation. Unveiling the Truth. The flickering candlelight cast long shadows across the weathered faces gathered around the ancient map. Days of relentless pursuit by the shadowy organization, the Serpent's Coil, had taken their toll. Exhaustion etched itself onto every line, yet a renewed sense of purpose burned in their eyes. The escape from the city had been miraculous, a testament to their unwavering faith and, they believed, God's direct intervention. They had found refuge in a secluded monastery, high in the mountains, a haven shielded from the escalating chaos sweeping across the globe. But their respite was short-lived. The weight of the impending apocalypse and the Serpent's Coil's relentless pursuit pressed heavily upon them. Elder Michael, the Covenant's leader, a man whose wisdom seemed to radiate from his very being, held a worn leather-bound book. Its pages, filled with cryptic symbols and ancient Aramaic, were the key to their survival, a key that had remained stubbornly locked until now. Sarah, her journalistic instincts still sharp despite the harrowing events, leaned forward, her heart pounding a rhythm of anticipation and apprehension. The prophecy, they had believed, held the answer to their situation, a roadmap to navigate the treacherous path ahead. Yet, the prophecy's meaning remained largely elusive. For weeks, Elder Michael began, his voice low and resonant. We've struggled with the final verse. The cryptic language, the interwoven symbolism, it's eluded us. He traced a finger across a passage, the candlelight reflecting in the worn grooves. But tonight, I believe, the Lord has granted us clarity. He paused, drawing a deep breath, and then, his voice taking on a new urgency, he translated the passage. And in the valley of shadows, where the serpent coils its wicked form, seek not the confrontation, but the wellspring of life. For there, hidden amidst the ruins of the past, lies the key to salvation, a path not of destruction, but of redemption. A collective gasp filled the room. The implications of this revelation were profound and utterly unexpected. They had been preparing for a direct confrontation, believing that only through a decisive battle could they thwart the Serpent's Coil's nefarious plans. The prophecy, however, suggested a different course of action, a path that was more subtle, more strategic. "The Valley of Shadows," murmured Elias, a young man whose fervent faith belied his youthful appearance. Could that refer to the ancient ruins of Jericho? The texts speak of hidden chambers, forgotten passages. His words triggered a ripple of excited murmurs. Jericho, an ancient city steeped in biblical history, had been ravaged by the recent earthquakes. It was a location the Serpent's Coil would likely overlook. "It's a risk," Sarah pointed out, her voice laced with caution. "The ruins are dangerous, unstable, and the Serpent's Coil could still be there." "We are not alone," countered Elder Michael. "The Lord will guide our steps. We have faith in His protection, and this new understanding of the prophecy strengthens our purpose. This is not a battle to be fought with weapons, but with the power of prayer, knowledge, and faith." The newfound clarity shifted the dynamic of the group. The weight of impending battle was replaced by a palpable sense of focused determination. The revelations sparked a fervent discussion. They meticulously pored over maps, ancient texts, and even consulted lesser-known biblical interpretations. The monastery became a hive of activity, a nexus of faith and intellectual pursuit. Prayers ascended, a symphony of supplication and trust in God's guidance. As the night wore on, a detailed plan began to emerge. They would venture to Jericho, not to engage in a direct conflict, but to search for the wellspring of life, a hidden artifact, perhaps a relic, mentioned in obscure historical accounts connected to the prophecy. This artifact, they believed, held the power to neutralize the Serpent's Coil's ancient evil and potentially pave a path to a more peaceful resolution. The journey to Jericho would be treacherous. The ravaged city posed significant challenges, unstable structures, lurking dangers, and the ever-present threat of the Serpent's Coil. Yet, the group felt an unprecedented sense of unity and purpose. The revelation had not only shifted their strategy, but had also deepened their faith. They were not just soldiers preparing for a battle. They were pilgrims embarking on a divinely ordained mission. Sarah, plagued by the guilt of her past and the constant fear of the impending apocalypse, found a new strength within this newfound understanding. Her past trauma, initially a source of doubt and despair, now fueled her determination to make amends. She saw this journey as a chance for redemption, a way to atone for past mistakes and to dedicate her life to the service of God. The group's reliance on prayer became even more pronounced. Every decision, every move, was preceded by fervent prayer. They saw God's hand in every detail, in every miraculous escape. They shared stories of faith, inspiring and strengthening one another. Their reliance on Scripture grew, and they found solace and guidance within its pages. They were not just relying on their own strength or wisdom, but on the unwavering power of their faith and God's divine guidance. The following days were a blur of preparation. They gathered supplies, meticulously checking and double-checking their equipment. They held prayer meetings, reaffirming their faith and seeking God's blessing on their journey. They shared testimonies, offering encouragement and support to each other. The strength they found in their shared faith was remarkable, a tangible manifestation of their spiritual bond. The decision to venture into Jericho was not taken lightly. It was a decision born of faith, trust, and the new understanding brought by the prophecy's revelation. It was a gamble, a leap of faith into the unknown. Yet they were not consumed by fear. Their focus had shifted. Instead of dread and apprehension, there was a growing sense of expectation, a hope that the wellspring of life held the key to not only their survival, but also the salvation of the world. As they set out on their perilous journey, leaving the sanctuary of the monastery behind, the group felt a sense of peace, a calmness that surprised them. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with danger. They were aware of the serpent's coil's relentless pursuit, yet they were no longer consumed by fear. Their faith, strengthened by the revelation, served as a shield against despair, bolstering their courage and guiding their steps. They walked towards Jericho, not with the fear of impending doom, but with the quiet assurance of a mission divinely ordained. The journey was far from over, but with the truth now revealed, their hope was rekindled, burning bright against the encroaching darkness. New understanding. The mountain air bit with a crisp chill as they descended, the monastery a shrinking silhouette against the vast, unforgiving landscape. Brother Thomas, his face etched with the wisdom of years spent in prayer and contemplation, consulted the ancient map once more. Its faded inks, detailing a forgotten path leading to Jericho, seemed to glow faintly in the weak sunlight. He traced a winding line with a calloused finger, his eyes distant, lost in a world beyond their immediate peril. "Jericho," he murmured, his voice barely audible above the wind's mournful sigh. "It is not merely a city, my friends. It is a nexus, a point of convergence." Sarah, a young woman whose youthful idealism had been tempered by the harsh realities of their flight, frowned. "A nexus? What does that mean, Brother Thomas?" He looked at them, his gaze settling on each face in turn. "The serpent's coil, they are not merely after the artifact," he explained, his voice gaining strength. "The artifact, it's a key, yes. But to what? That is what we must understand." He paused, gathering his thoughts, the wind whipping strands of his gray hair across his face. For centuries, they have sought this key. They have killed, they have lied, they have manipulated, all to obtain it. But their true goal is far more insidious, far more terrifying than we ever imagined. He unfolded the map further, revealing a cryptic symbol near Jericho's marked location. It was a serpent entwined around a chalice, a symbol they had seen etched onto the serpent's coils, sigils, and weaponry throughout their perilous journey. This was not just a symbol of their enemy. It held a deeper, more unsettling meaning. "This symbol," Brother Thomas explained, his voice low and grave, "represents not just their organization, but their ultimate aim. The chalice, it represents the wellspring of faith, the unwavering belief in God's grace and mercy. The serpent, it seeks to corrupt, to poison that wellspring, to drain the world of its spiritual essence. A wave of understanding rippled through the small group. It was more than just a physical artifact they sought. They were fighting for the very soul of humanity. The serpent's coil wasn't interested in mere power or worldly dominion. They were aiming for something far more sinister, the eradication of faith itself. Daniel, a former soldier whose strength had been matched only by his doubts, spoke, his voice laced with a newfound determination. So, they aren't just destroying the world. They're trying to destroy our belief in God? Brother Thomas nodded solemnly. Precisely. They seek to usher in a new age of darkness, an age devoid of hope, of faith, of redemption. They believe that by destroying our faith, they can control humanity, manipulate its very essence. They mistake fear and despair for power. They do not understand the power of the divine. The weight of this revelation settled heavily upon them. The stakes were higher than they had ever imagined. Their mission was no longer just about escaping the serpent's coil or securing a safe haven. It was about defending the very foundation of their existence, the unwavering light of their faith against the encroaching darkness. The journey continued, each step imbued with a new intensity. The landscape mirrored their inner turmoil, bleak and unforgiving, yet somehow beautiful in its harshness. They discussed the implications of Brother Thomas's revelation, drawing strength from one another. They were not just survivors fleeing an apocalypse. They were warriors fighting for the soul of the world. Their understanding of the enemy transformed their approach. They were no longer just running, they were strategizing. They started to notice patterns in the serpent's coil's attacks. Their movements weren't random. They were methodical, calculated, as if orchestrated to sow chaos and despair. They focused on minimizing civilian casualties, spreading hope and faith wherever they could. They became beacons of light in the encroaching darkness, their actions a silent testament to their unwavering faith. One evening, huddled around a small fire under a star-studded sky, Sarah shared a story from her past. She spoke of a time when she had lost faith, when doubt had consumed her. But through prayer and unwavering support from her community, she found her way back to God. Her story resonated deeply with the others, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the light of faith could prevail. As they neared Jericho, they encountered smaller groups of survivors, many disillusioned and despairing, their faith shattered by the seemingly endless chaos. But the group, empowered by their new understanding, shared their revelation. They spoke of the serpent's coil's true intentions, and surprisingly, their message often resonated, rekindling the flickering embers of faith in the hearts of others. They found themselves unexpectedly acting as missionaries, sharing not just their survival skills, but also the hope they had found in the depths of their ordeal. It became clear that the battle for the soul of humanity wasn't just a fight against the serpent's coil, but also a battle to rekindle hope in the hearts of those who had lost their way. They helped rebuild communities, sharing their food and skills, and always, most importantly, offering the comfort and solace of their unwavering faith. The journey had transformed them. They had started out as survivors, fleeing for their lives. Now, they were agents of hope, spreading the word of faith even amid the chaos and despair of the apocalypse. They realized that the artifact was only a key to unlock a deeper spiritual battle, a battle to preserve the very essence of humanity's faith. The physical journey to Jericho was now a pilgrimage, a testament to their unwavering commitment to God's plan. The final confrontation with the serpent's coil was inevitable, but now they faced it not with fear, but with a newfound courage fueled by a profound understanding of the true nature of their enemy and the even greater power of their faith. Their new understanding wasn't just intellectual, it had become a tangible source of strength. It had transformed their fear into determination, their despair into hope. Each step closer to Jericho was not merely a physical movement, but a spiritual affirmation of their unwavering belief. The approaching darkness was real, palpable, but it could not extinguish the flame of faith that burned brightly within their hearts, a beacon guiding them towards their final destination. The struggle had become intensely personal. It was not simply about survival, but about the fight for the very soul of humanity, a battle they were now fully prepared to face. The weight of this responsibility rested heavily upon their shoulders, but it also spurred them forward, pushing them toward a confrontation that would determine not just their fate, but the fate of countless others. The ancient city of Jericho, once a symbol of impenetrable walls and divine intervention, now stood before them as a symbol of a different kind of conflict, a spiritual war for the hearts and minds of mankind. The true battle had begun, and they were ready. They were ready because their faith was not simply a belief. It was a weapon, forged in the crucible of suffering and strengthened by their understanding of the enemy's true intentions. Their journey was far from over, but now, they walked towards the ultimate confrontation not with apprehension, but with a fervent faith, knowing that even in the face of annihilation, God's love and mercy would ultimately prevail. Spiritual insight. The wind whispered secrets through the crumbling stones of Jericho, a mournful dirge echoing the city's fallen glory. Brother Thomas, Sarah, and Daniel stood at the precipice of a vast, desolate plain, the ancient walls of Jericho a skeletal reminder of a past both glorious and terrifying. The map, its secrets finally revealed, had led them here, but it The Rapture's fury. 3. Spiritual insight. The wind whispered secrets through the crumbling stones of Jericho, a mournful dirge echoing the city's fallen glory. Brother Thomas, Sarah, and Daniel stood at the precipice of a vast, desolate plain, the ancient walls of Jericho a skeletal reminder of a past both glorious and terrifying. The map, its secrets finally revealed, had led them here, but it offered no further guidance. A heavy silence descended, broken only by the rustling of their cloaks and the distant cry of a hawk circling overhead. The palpable sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the quiet determination etched on their faces. Sarah, ever practical, broke the silence. Brother Thomas, the map ends here. What now? Her voice, though laced with apprehension, held a steadfast resolve. She clutched her worn Bible, a source of comfort in the face of overwhelming uncertainty. Brother Thomas, his gaze fixed on the horizon, seemed to be wrestling with an internal conflict. His weathered hands, gnarled from years of prayer and toil, trembled slightly as he reached into his satchel. He withdrew a small, leather-bound book, its pages yellowed with age. This wasn't the ancient map. This was a book of psalms and prophecies, a collection of writings passed down through generations of his order. He opened the book to a passage marked with a faded ribbon, his lips moving silently as he read. The others watched, their breath held captive in their chests, sensing the gravity of the moment. The words, ancient yet potent, spoke of a hidden passage, a secret path not marked on any earthly map, but revealed only through spiritual discernment. This, he said, his voice low and resonant, speaks not of a physical path, but a spiritual one. Jericho's walls were not merely stones. They were symbols of resistance, of unbelief. The true battle, the one that truly matters, lies not in conquering this desolate land, but in conquering the hearts and minds of those who have fallen prey to the darkness that envelopes us. Daniel, his youthful idealism tempered by the harsh realities of their journey, frowned. But Brother Thomas, how do we conquer hearts and minds? With swords and shields? We are but 3 against an army. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his underlying fear. Brother Thomas smiled gently, a glimmer of unwavering faith lighting up his eyes. We fight with a weapon far more potent than any sword, the power of prayer, the unwavering strength of our faith, and the unwavering love of our God. The passage speaks of a wellspring of mercy, hidden deep within the heart of this desolation. It is not a physical wellspring, but a spiritual one, a place of profound spiritual understanding, a point of connection with God's divine power. The words resonated deeply within Sarah and Daniel. They had come seeking a physical solution, a tangible victory. But Brother Thomas's interpretation opened their eyes to a greater truth, a truth far more potent than any military strategy. Their task wasn't to conquer Jericho, but to conquer the spiritual darkness that had taken root within the hearts of its people. This meant confronting not only the external threat, but also the internal struggles of doubt and despair that threatened to consume them. The next few hours were spent in fervent prayer and meditation. They sought guidance from God, asking for strength and understanding. Brother Thomas led them in hymns and prayers, his voice a beacon of hope in the darkening landscape. They confessed their fears and insecurities, acknowledging their own weaknesses and relying on God's grace to overcome them. The weight of their burdens seemed to lift, replaced by a profound sense of peace and purpose. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery orange and deep crimson, a profound spiritual insight dawned upon them. The wellspring of mercy wasn't a literal location. It was a state of being, a spiritual awakening that could only be achieved through absolute faith and unwavering devotion. They were to be instruments of God's mercy, beacons of hope in a world consumed by darkness. Their mission had shifted from a physical quest to a spiritual crusade, a battle fought not with weapons but with prayer, compassion, and unwavering faith. The insight brought a wave of clarity, washing over them like a cleansing tide. They were not merely travelers in a hostile land, but messengers of God's grace, chosen to bring hope to a despairing world. Their journey would be arduous, fraught with challenges and dangers, but their faith would be their shield, their prayer their sword. The walls of Jericho, once symbols of impenetrable resistance, now seemed less formidable. The true battle was not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Ephesians 6 verse 12. The weight of their responsibilities settled upon them, but it was a weight they were now willing to bear. They were strengthened by the shared conviction that their God would be with them, guiding their steps and protecting them from harm. They realized their task was not merely to survive, but to spread the message of salvation, to be living testaments to the power of God's love. As darkness enveloped them, they huddled together, sharing a meager meal and offering up their grateful hearts to God. They felt a newfound sense of unity, their individual strengths interwoven into a powerful tapestry of faith and devotion. They understood now the true meaning of their mission, the profound spiritual significance of their journey. Their steps forward would not only be guided by a physical map, but by the unwavering light of God's grace, illuminating their path and empowering them to face any obstacle, any adversity. They were not merely surviving, they were thriving on faith, nourished by God's love, and emboldened by the conviction that they were being used to fulfill His divine purpose. This night, however, brought a new kind of challenge, a challenge that reached beyond the physical. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, a chilling silence more profound than before, announced the arrival of a spiritual battle. Their weapons were not of steel or fire, but of faith, compassion, and unwavering love. This battle would not be fought with swords and shields, but with prayers and unwavering devotion. The cold desert wind howled around them like a banshee, a mournful cry that echoed the despair of a world lost in darkness. Yet, within their small group, a warmth burned brightly, the warmth of unwavering faith. They spent the night praying, seeking guidance and strength from God. Each prayer was a weapon, each hymn a shield against the encroaching darkness. The night was long and filled with spiritual warfare, but as dawn broke, a renewed sense of purpose filled their hearts. They knew that the road ahead would be perilous, but they also knew that they were not alone. God's hand was upon them, His love guiding their steps, His grace sustaining their spirits. The battle for Jericho was far from over, but they were ready. They were armed not with earthly weapons, but with the invincible armor of God's love, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, with unwavering faith and unwavering trust in the divine plan. The physical journey to Jericho was now intertwined with a deeply spiritual pilgrimage, a journey into the heart of God's love and the depths of their own souls. Their spiritual insight had transformed their perspective, replacing fear with purpose and doubt with unshakable faith. They were not simply survivors. They were warriors of light, ready to spread the message of hope in a world desperately in need of salvation. This realization invigorated them, renewing their resolve and preparing them for the challenges that awaited them as they ventured further into Jericho's depths. Their path was clear, their mission defined, their faith unyielding. The spiritual battle had begun, and they were ready to fight.